When you live in the country, you're going to have weeds. And today we're going to talk about weed control. We have Mike White with Iowa State University Extension. Mike, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here today.
What can you tell me about weeds?
Well, there's all kinds of weeds, but primarily a weed is any plant that's out of place.
Okay.
And
so it can be a tree like that.
That's correct. This is a ash tree. It's fine if it was in the right place, but it's down here in the road ditch and needs to be controlled.
So that makes it a weed. And boy, I don't like thistles.
Thistles are nobody likes thistles. But one thing about thistles, if you're going to control a thistle, you make sure you either mow it or spray it before it sets seed and the flowers come on.
All right. And we don't like that one either, do we?
That's a bad one. I'm very sensitive to it. Many people are. That's poison ivy.
Poison ivy.
And that is a weed out of place that needs to be controlled.
We'll stay away from that one. I see a real common weed here, milkweed.
Yeah, milkweed, you know, the monarch butterflies like milkweed, but sometimes if you have it in a corn or a crop field, it's out of place.
Need to get it out of there.
So,
how do I control weeds?
Well, there's all kinds of methods to control weeds, and I suggest we go over to the picnic table and I'll show you some.
Mike, we have a lot of equipment out here. What do we have?
Well, there's just different methods somebody could use to control weeds.
Okay.
One of the common methods that are used around yards or buildings is mulches, and often you can use organic mulches.
Okay.
Like wood chips. You can also use straw, compost, normally about 3 inches thick for weed control.
3 inches, all right.
We can also use common things like several layers of a newspaper.
All right.
And lay them down in your gardens or whatever for weed control, and the water will soak right through.
Okay.
Another one that's like under rock areas and things like that, we can use synthetic mulches, even plastic. So there's a whole array of...
So you put that down and then some rocks on top.
Absolutely.
And then we have some hand tools here.
Right. This would be considered mechanical weed control, Betsy. And what we have here is a typical garden hoe. And you can get a lot of weeds out with one of those.
Right.
I've got a swinging machete type deal here to cut the weeds. Shovel to dig weeds out like a thistle or something like that.
Yeah, you have to get down to the root.
Right. Then this right here is, this is when you need to go out. This is a weed whipper, heavy duty one.
Right.
And often you use this around down fence lines or maybe around buildings and stuff. The weed whacker here, when you're using it, make sure, you know, safety is utmost, and we always want to make sure we're using goggles to protect your eyes, and also make sure people are standing clear of it while you're out there cutting those weeds.
All right, and then what about the spraying methods?
Well, on an acreage or a small farm, typically you start out with something like this, a little pump-up sprayer.
Okay.
About $20, $25 for spot spraying. Then if you're going to spray around buildings, if you're going to spray maybe down a fence row or something, this is the next step up. This is a pump-up sprayer, about 5-gallon capacity. What's nice about these is you put them on your back, you have an even pressure pumping them, and then go ahead and spray with this wand right here.
Okay. And then if you're going out behind your, would you pull that with an ATV, that kind of sprayer, or utility vehicle?
Yeah, this would be the typical acreage sprayer for yards.
Right.
And you put that behind an ATV, or you put that behind just a garden tractor, lawn tractor, and then you can spray your yard with something like that.
And what are the safety concerns with chemicals, Mike?
Well, you know, chemicals or herbicides are normally pretty safe, but you make darn sure, when you purchase a herbicide or any kind of pesticide, make sure you read the label. Label is the law.
Yeah. All right.
There'll be safety measures in there, and typically what they're going to require is that you're going to need, number one, some pesticide-resistant gloves.
Okay.
When you're mixing it up and applying. Goggles is always key. That'd be the second thing they're always going to ask you to do. And then third, they'll often recommend an apron while mixing, and a pesticide-resistant apron. Right.
Well, thank you, Mike, for sharing that great information. I'm going to go kill some weeds.
Well, everybody's got it. Thank you.
Now we're going to hear from Christoph.